In just 4 years, the world plunged into chaos, leaving 16 million dead and reshaping nations. This is the story of World War I, a war that taught us the true cost of conflict. This is the story of World War I, a war that taught us the true cost of conflict. Chapter 1. Tensions building in Europe. In the early 1900s, Europe was a tense place. Countries like Germany, Britain, France, and Russia were powerful, but always wary of each other. They formed alliances and built massive armies, ready to defend themselves. But this tension was like a powder keg, waiting for a spark. Chapter 2. The Spark and Assassination. Archduke Franz Ferdinand's car traveling through Sarajevo. That spark came on June 28, 1914. Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary was assassinated in Sarajevo. This single act set off a chain reaction. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Soon, Russia, Germany, France, and Britain were all drawn in. In a few weeks, Europe was at war. Chapter 3. The brutality of trench warfare. On the battlefield, soldiers faced horrors we can barely imagine. They fought from muddy trenches, living in the cold and wet for months, surrounded by disease and fear. New, deadly weapons like machine guns and poison gas made it even more horrific. Millions of lives were lost over just a few feet of ground. Chapter 4. A devastating battle. The Somme. One of the bloodiest battles was the Battle of the Somme in 1916. On the first day alone, over 57,000 British soldiers were killed or wounded. By the end, more than 1 million soldiers were dead or hurt. The ground of northern France still bears the scars of this battle. Chapter 5. A truly global war. World War I wasn't just fought in Europe. Battles took place in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. Soldiers from colonies like India, Africa, and the Caribbean fought, hoping their bravery might win them freedom one day. The United States joined the war in 1917, adding fresh energy and soldiers to the fight. Chapter 6. The war ends but leaves wounds. On November 11, 1918, the fighting stopped, but the peace that followed was uneasy. The Treaty of Versailles blamed Germany and forced it to pay heavy fines. Many people felt bitter, and this would lead to more conflict just a few years later. Over 16 million people had died, and the world would never be the same. Chapter 7. The Lasting Legacy. World War I left families broken, nations devastated, and millions grieving. Women took on new roles, societies changed, and people realized just how destructive modern warfare could be. The war to end all wars didn't end conflict, but it showed us all how important peace is. The Great War reminds us of the price of war, the lives lost, the dreams destroyed. It's a story of courage and sacrifice, and a lesson we must remember, lest we forget. In memory of those who served and sacrificed.